John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another head by VPA. VPA, man, they put out so many different broadheads. They make a lot of broadheads and they make them all right here in the USA. They have their own machine shop and they even machine and make a lot of broadheads for other companies as well as just a lot of other machined parts for bows and sights and so many things like that. They got their act together and have been really great people. I was so impressed with what they've come out with in recent years that I reached out to them and asked them if they'd give me a discount code, and they did. So if you use Lusk10, Lusk10 on their website, in any order of any of the many VPA broadheads, you can save 10%. And hey, that's 10%. Okay, every little bit helps. But today I'm going to be testing their Omega 125 grain with bleeders. I tested this head when it first came out, and it did so well. I used it on some hunts and it blew me away. Honestly, it takes a lot to blow me away. It blew me away by how well it worked in the field as well. So I thought I would test it with my 2026 regimen and see how it performed with this new stringent testing. And so I'm going to be using that process. And for a detailed description of that, please check out the video I posted earlier this year called 2026 Broadhead Test Process, and it'll walk you through all the behind the scenes of the tests that I do, how I do them, why I do them, and so forth. And I'm going to be using my Elite Eon Compound bow set at 26.5 inches, 62 pounds for most of the shooting. I'm using Bishop Archery arrows at 450 grains, and I'm using my new Ravin LR XBow at 450 feet per second as well. Let's zoom in here, go through some of the design features and specifications of this Omega 125 grain with bleeders, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at this 125 grain Omega with bleeders, and man, I love this broadhead. When this thing first came out, it tested so well. I took it into the field and used it on some hunts, and my goodness, it just performed extremely well. I took a couple hogs with it, and it just put them down fast. The single bevel, as well as the thickness of the blades and the durability, just was devastating to hogs. I mean, man, what it did to the front shoulder of a hog just blew me away. I've never seen that kind of damage to a shoulder. So anyway, let's start with going through the materials of this one. First of all, the main blade is made out of S7 tool steel, which is extremely durable. It has the resistance to impact about 5 times that of typical 420 stainless steel that most broadheads are made out of. And it's brought to a Rockwell hardness of 56 to 58. And then the bleeder that you can see that is this one, it slides right in the gap of that main blade. It's made out of 1045 steel, and it's brought to a Rockwell hardness of 56 to 58 as well. So really good steel, especially in the main blade, but solid steel in that bleeder as well. And in terms of the dimensions, the cutting diameter of the main blade is 1 inch, and the cutting diameter of this bleeder is 0.81 inches. So total cut of 1.81 inches. But don't let that fool you. You may think that's kind of small, though it's a lot bigger than most 3 blades in terms of the total cut. But man, the thickness of these blades is something to marvel about. This bleeder is 0.095 inches thick. Wow, that's like a really thick blade right there. That's going to create a wound channel that's really difficult to close up. And it's also that thickness being single bevel, and this is right single bevel. You can get it in right or left single bevel. That's also going to rotate. It's going to create an even more devastating wound channel. So the combination of the thickness of the blades and that single bevel, man, that's going to be a really devastating wound channel, which is what I've experienced on my hunts. Now, another thing that's unique about this is resharpening. If you take out the bleeder, they have what they call the lay flat technology, where you can just lay this main blade flat on a stone and sharpen away. Similarly to what you can do with a 60-degree 3-blade broadhead. So that's really nice for resharpening. And then the bleeder being so thick, is also really easy to find that bevel and resharpen. And then it's got a really interesting bevel to this, the main blade. It starts at 40 degrees for extra durability, and then it gets more gradual as it goes back, and it gets back to 26 degrees. So it's going to have a good rotation and durability on impact, and then more effective slicing and sharpness as it goes on with that lighter bevel. And then the bleeder is 35 degrees in its bevel. And you can see this tip has a tanto tip to it just to give it extra durability. Has a lateral support all the way up to the top almost with this bleeder, and then incredible thickness to the main blade right at that tip, as well as the S7 tool steel to make this one of the most durable broadheads ever constructed. And the overall length beyond the end of the arrow is just about 0.8 inches, so super short, compact design is going to aid in flight as well as penetration in drier mediums. And another thing that's interesting about this broadhead is its modularity, that with this bleeder you can take it out and then still use it as a two-blade, which is a nice two-blade single bevel broadhead made out of S7 tool steel. You just take that bleeder out and you have a 100-grain two-blade super short compact design. I tested that last year, and you can check out my review of that. But I love that if you're going after a bigger animal, say you're going after a Cape buffalo or something, and you want just a two-blade for extra penetration, you just slip this bleeder out and you're good to go. So with that modularity, you can hunt anything on the planet with this broadhead. And these come out to $39 per broadhead. That's the cost of the thickness and the machining of this S7 tool steel. But you can use my discount code LUSK10 to save 10%, which at that price, that really is a considerable savings. Really look forward to putting this head to the test and seeing how it performs. With the Elite Eon at 45 yards, it got the 10 ring. And just to note, that bullseye is a 2-inch bullseye. And with the Ravin at 450 feet per second at 45 yards, it just clipped that 2-inch bullseye. And the flight noise score was a 9.8 on a 10-point scale, whereas a field point is a 10 on a 10-point scale. So a really quiet flight. It took 169 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus a proportional bonus of 0.31 for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 8 3/4 inches, which is a 9.72 on a 10-point scale. And it only took an additional 9 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.82 on a 10-point scale. And so it's also going to get a 2-point bonus for both the sharpness and the edge retention being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated through 68 layers, which is a 9.71 on a 10-point scale. It rotated 55 degrees at 11 inches. The head's in excellent shape after the 3 shots through the MDF. And it's still in perfect condition after the 2 shots through the sheet of steel. And man, look at these holes, just nice chunks taken out of the steel with a twist to them from that wide single bevel rotation as well. Here it is after all the durability testing. It's already gone through the MDF 3 times. It went through the sheet of steel 2 times. It was also shot into the cinder block using my compound bow, and it did perfectly well through all of that. So it earned a shot into the cinder block using my Ravin, and it did that already as well. So you're looking at this broadhead after all of those different shots. And then interestingly enough, I messed up the video shots through the Ravin into the center block twice. So I did it a third time using the same head. And here's this same head after being shot into center block one time using the compound bow, and then 3 times using the Ravin crossbow at 450 feet per second. Man, talk about impressive durability. Wow. So what'd you think? Man, this is one of my favorite broadheads in recent years. One of my favorites, especially fixed blade broadheads. It just does extremely well in every area. It got one of the highest scores of any fixed blade broadhead that I've ever tested. It's tough as nails. It'll last you forever as long as you don't lose it, okay? It's not cheap, but man, it will last. You'll be passing this on to your grandkids one day. It's just a really exceptional broadhead. Great design, great materials, great craftsmanship, and great performance, great lethality. But hey, you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most, and see if it might be a good fit for you. Honestly, I think it's a good fit for anything there is on the planet. And check out the details of how it did in each of the tests I do in the video description, as well as a link to an Excel spreadsheet that has a summary of all the tests I've done for the last several years and all the scores of every test of every broadhead. So much data there that you can dig into for hours. But stay tuned for a summary of how this Omega did in the testing, as well as the overall cumulative score, got a really good one, and the corresponding Lusk grade. And also stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes I can offer you, like for VPA, any of the VPA broadheads, use Lusk 10 on their website and you'll save 10%. Then hey, with this Omega that's pretty pricey, man, that 10% is really a significant amount. But there's many others to get discount codes for as well, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next time.